my understanding that differentiation is part of the District 65 because we're not tracking. And at least very minimally. I know there's some programs that Evanston High School runs that allows 8th graders to go to school for math. I don't think tracking's the dirty word that has been it's been given. I think if it's done in a robust way where kids are given challenged at each level, I think it's important. But differentiation, what we have in this is what we've got, and that's for the teacher to try to have those groups, to identify each group in that class and be able to teach to that. It's a very difficult concept, and when as much training you can put toward it, I'm not sure that all teachers can handle it as well. There's Bluebird, and there's the card that we have in meeting groups. I don't think that's the stigma that we give it. I think it's important to keep kids moving at a speed that they can handle. And I think at the early stages, these tracks are malleable, they can be moved through, but I think we have to identify those kids, to give them the resources they need at the level they're working at, whether at the high end or the low end. Putting everybody together to try to have the teacher work all those things out, I think is a very difficult task. So I do believe that tracking in certain situations is important. It's not something that should be completely discarded.
Thank you. Keith, Jerry?
As a general philosophy, I think that in the K through 8 system, we should push the child to its maximum potential, and therefore straight out tracking is something that you shouldn't do. Now, what we've instituted in response to pushing the child to its maximum potential are things such as response to intervention. We have a lot of professional development aimed at teachers, making sure that they know how to differentiate inside the classroom. We have push-in models, and we've instituted inclusion, the model. We have geometry, where we're offering it both at high school and in middle schools. We're doing the extended day. So there are a number of different things that we're trying to deploy that helps the child obtain its highest maximum potential and learning ability. I just think that in the early K through 8 years, it's really important that we push the child as much as we can to ensure that the child is achieving every possible step along the way in reading and in math. Also in science, because that's the area that I'm a part of. And so with that said, that's where I am.
Thank you. Katie Bailey?
I really respect what the high school's gone through and the decision they've made. My sister, of course, is in Baltimore, and in 2nd grade, her son was trapped, and starting in 2nd grade. And it became, I guess if you identify kids so early on, you lose a lot of their potential, and you can really impact them. Every kid excels at a different rate. Kids have different interests. And what I respect and why I support the model of differentiation is it meets kids where they are at their own interest level. I think critical to differentiation, though, is not only training. I do think the class size comes into that, and we need to make sure that we maintain our class sizes within the levels that they are, and really look at that. And 30 seconds left. But we do want kids to succeed and what that means for them. And so I really believe that the more opportunities we give kids for success, the better.
Thank you. JB, you got off easy on this one, but I'm going to ask Richard and Eileen, since you're both challengers, if you could kind of focus on whether you think District 65 is over-differentiating or under-differentiating, or Mama Bear Porridge doing just about right now. What if anything, would you do differently since you're coming onto the board? Eileen, why don't you take a shot at it first?
I'm still learning about what we're doing in differentiation. I remain very hopeful about the training we're offering teachers, and I hope that they can share best practices with each other as they go forward. As a math teacher, I'm struggling with how, if if and when I go back to the classroom in the future, how I will pull off the kind of model that I know the high school is doing. I struggle with that, as imagining how I would teach the wide spectrum of students all in one classroom, but I remain hopeful that I can someday do it because I like it in theory. I'm just really worried about the implementation in math. Now in humanities, I feel like it's probably more likely to succeed. We are not tracking in humanities in District 65. I know, but I do worry that this leaves some of the kids on the higher end kind of bored, because I know I've heard that from a lot of parents, that we're not meeting the needs of the high achieving in the verbal domain. So that's basically where I stand on that right now.
Thank you.
I think differentiation in District 65 is a good initiative to have. And I think good teachers have been doing it for years. They just might not have called it differentiation, but it's been around for decades. And over the last many years, it's become more of a formal process that school districts are adopting. It's a great opportunity for teachers who are doing it to really flourish. And it's an opportunity for those teachers who might not naturally be doing it to gain some professional development and new skills and become even more effective teachers. What I think I would be doing differently, and that is critical to any initiative that we roll out in District 65, relates to measurement. And you will hear me refer to measurement throughout my campaign because it is something that I think is essential for everything that a school district invests in. And it helps make sure, if we go back to the first question, that we're spending our tax dollars very wisely. And so for differentiation, I'm not certain about this, to what extent they have identified outcome measures, not process measures, but outcome measures. How are the children achieving better? Are they more successful? What are those measures specifically? Let's be clear about those criteria. Let's be clear about the process of how we'll evaluate that and when, and what that evaluation ultimately then looks like. Let's review that. Let's get teachers involved. Let's tweak it, and then let's deepen it. And so I think often in our district, we roll things out district-wide, not always, but often. And I think if we focused more on longer-term pilots to make sure that they were working through evaluation, that we would have even greater success with some of the initiatives like differentiation.